views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hey everyone, I'm the Dr. Bob Lee. Welcome to Open BXRX. Coming up on today's show, we got another big one. We'll speak to a representative of a local organization that is facilitating an improved quality of life for Bronx residents. You don't want to miss that. Then we'll hear from a friend of the show who will join us to share the work that his organization is doing and to speak about his connection with the historically important organization. We're going to continue to give it to you. Another good show, I keep telling you. After that, we'll speak to a talented opera singer who will highlight a can't-miss upcoming event where she's going to be performing. Then Bobby C., of course, he steps into the room with the latest in the world of sports. And then finally, we'll hear from a Jehovah's Witnesses representative that will speak about how they are helping others in their pursuit of peace. All of this and more, all headed your way. Kick off your shoes and relax your feet. We've got it all for you. We are wide open. Hey everyone, I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. I'm your host, and you're watching Open. It's that live interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. You can stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Got a good one for you, great show for you. Leading things off, we're joined by the development manager of the Southeast Neighborhood Community Centers Incorporated, who is with us today to speak about the work that her organization is doing to improve the lives of Southeast Bronx residents and to promote their Inaugural Family Gala. It's supposed to be something very, very special. Please welcome to the show, Sulay Lora. Sulay, welcome.
Hello, Dr. Bob Lee. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be able to talk up Southeast Bronx Neighborhood Centers, otherwise known as SEBNIC. People call it SEBNIC for short. Here in the community, That's what we're known as. And yes, I'm really excited to be here today.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and also about the Southeast Bronx Neighborhood Centers Incorporated?
So I, as the development manager, is actually the first ever development manager in Southeast Bronx Neighborhood's history. And given Southeast Bronx Neighborhood Centers has been around since 1929, and this is in existence here. Yes, we've gone into reincorporation and such, but we have been here as a staple in the community in Morrisania since 1929. Our main office is within the complex of Forest NYCHA neighborhood houses. But we also have facilities within McKinley neighborhood houses, as well as other sites within the Bronx, where we house our services for those with developmental disabilities, youth supports, as well as after school and summer programs, in addition to having a beautiful gym right here on the main site on the corner of 163rd and Tinton, where we host our food giveaways as well as basketball tournaments in collaboration with other members of the community. I myself actually started in Southeast Bronx Neighborhood Centers fresh out of college as a direct support professional. Yes, so I work directly with people with developmental disabilities in the classrooms and taking them out on trips. Soon enough, SEBNIC saw my potential and I became a case manager for the same agency and ventured off to further my career, my education, and I returned to the agency in the capacity of development manager, which was actually a position that was created when I showed interest in coming back home. So I'm really excited to trailblaze in this position and really support the agency in moving into the next level, really upping our impact in terms of collaborations, both public and private, whereby we can secure resources in order to do more events and really meet the needs of the community, especially post-COVID.
Wow, you're really giving back to the community. That's how you're supposed to do that. Now, there's a lot of things happening. What's the mission of the Bronx Neighborhood Center?
So the mission for Southeast Bronx Neighborhood Centers is to empower the community, both by providing services and being able to really meet the community where they're at, and have these supports and services such as services for the youth, services for those with developmental disabilities. And as we get more and more opportunities to support our seniors, and really give an opportunity for an otherwise disenfranchised community to become more than their situation. As we understand it, right now in Morrisania and Claremont are some of the communities that are suffering the most from food insecurity and poverty, and really is a forgotten community that we're trying to bring attention to, especially now since we have been here since 1929, trucking away, and really want to make sure that the needs of the community are being met. Yeah,
that's beautiful. And also, you're located exactly where? By the Morrisania Park area?
Yes, so Morrisania, our main site is on 955 Tinton Avenue on the corner of 163rd Street and Tinton Avenue. That's our main site, where houses our administrative offices. Yeah,
and some of those programs again. Talk about some of those programs, and what stands out in your mind. What's one that's close to your heart or closest to your heart?
Well, each of the programs have a special place in my heart. Of course, where I started off in the Developmental Disabilities Department, we have a United Rehabilitation Day program where I started, and that provides day services for people with developmental disabilities. Then we also have our leisure time and leisurely yours programs that provide after school for those who are of age, but they're still in the Department of Education. And then we have for our older folks who are adults to also have that after program after the day services. We also have residential programs for those with developmental disabilities, in addition to community rehabilitation and respite. And that's a bigger portion of what we offer. But then we also have our youth services that encompasses our after school program, Minds Unlimited, which is a fee for service program that we have, in addition to our after school programs that are site-based out of McKinley NYCHA Center, as well as Forest. In addition to our school-based PS 140 after school program, and also Roland Patterson over in the other side of the Bronx by Roberto Clemente Park. We also work with that school, Roland Patterson School, for after school as well. And in terms of that, right now we actually have our night center. We do that, our Teen Night Center, in collaboration with NYCHA, both out of McKinley and Forest sites. We provide services for those between the ages of 13 and 24. And we open our facilities later in the evening. So that'll be from 6 p.m. up until 11 o'clock at night. And it'll be 3 in the afternoon up until 10 p.m. at night on weekends.
That's what it's called, serving the community. You're all over the place doing things. Since 1927, 29, something like that?
29.
Yeah, wow, yeah. So, and then you have this big ball coming up. Can we come? Are we invited? The Inaugural Family Gala?
Of course, especially I expect to see you there, Dr. Bob. I expect to see you there. So yes, we're having our first ever inaugural fundraising gala. We're really excited. This is the caliber of event that, given the history of this organization, we deserve. And we want to do it justice. And we're doing that on September 23rd this year. So September 23rd coming up at 7 p.m. At Maestro's Banquet Hall. And it is $125 per ticket. We're also looking for sponsorships and people to be able to donate to make it possible for community members to attend the event as well. We're looking for people to sponsor tables and such, and provide donations that can make the event even more accessible to those in these communities. And the money that we're trying to raise is $250,000 is our goal.
There you go.
I envision, I'm putting it out into the universe that we're going to get so much more. That is in fact our goal. Yes, putting it out into the universe. That is in fact our goal, $250,000. And we're going to be using that money in order to supplement our programming so we can meet the needs of the community. It's ever changing, things going up and down with COVID, with food insecurity. We're doing our best. We're not exactly a food pantry, but as soon as we collect donations and all of these things, we purchase food and we hand it out. And we do that year round as long as we get the resources. So we're trying to allocate those resources to meet the needs.
Yeah. Sulay, where can we send this money to?
So you can visit, so you can visit us on our Eventbrite for the actual gala to purchase a ticket. You can visit us on eventbrite.com. All you have to do is search SEBNC, Sebnick, and it'll take you to our event on Eventbrite. You can also visit our website, sebnick.org, so SEBNC.org, and go to our events. And the calendar that we have displayed there, you'll see on September 23rd, the information for the actual gala. And it'll guide you on how to become a sponsor, buy a ticket, or even purchase an ad for those of whom who are vendors or agencies or businesses that are interested in promoting.
So everything's on the website. So you go to the website, you can go to event, where you can find Eventbrite and the donation area and the donation button that you have to push and all of that stuff, right?
Yes. Our Eventbrite is for the tickets, and for more information on how to donate or purchase ads and such, you can go to our website, sebnick.org, and go to our events. And there you'll see more details on September 23rd's event, which is the gala, on how to participate.
Laura, I'm going to say last name first. Can I say your, well, there's two names that are, it can be either first or last, but
yes, I get that all the time.
Development, Sulay Lora, Development Manager, SEBNC, and that stands for Southeast Bronx Neighborhood Centers Incorporated. Thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you.
See, I did it again. Thank you, Sulay. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Have a blessed day.
All right, you too. We'll take a break right here. I've got more coming up next. It's all about being open. Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from WBLS. You're watching Open, and our next guest is the Director of Staff of the United Federation of Teachers. And he's here today to speak about the latest update on the work that he is doing with the UFT and to highlight an important event that he is attending with the NAACP. So please welcome to the show, my friend, Anthony Harmon. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey, Bob, good to see you again. As you said, I'm doing a whole bunch of things this summer. You know, although school is on summer break, you know, the work still continues.
Yeah.
Right now, you know, I'm here in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I also serve as president of the New York branch of the NAACP.
Yes.
Those people that don't know, the NAACP is the oldest civil rights organization in the country. Here in Atlantic City, New Jersey, we're celebrating our 113th year anniversary of the organization being in existence. This national conference is bringing together leaders from the NAACP from all across the country. So there are people not only here from New York, New Jersey, but California, Missouri, Kansas City, Texas, all over the place. We've all come together to sit down and really have some real in-depth conversations about the direction of the organization for the coming year. The theme for this year's conference.
This is power. This is power.
This is power. I was just going to say that this is power. That's our theme for this year's national conference. And you know what we hope is that when they leave this convention, they'll go back and they'll enact a lot of the policies and enact on some of the decisions that we're coming up with.
Yeah,
so
and a lot of things on the table too. We're talking about healthcare. We're talking about TG and the whole alphabet thing. And we're talking about
Mhm.
a lot of the other things that are gun violence, all of those
Right.
things on the table. I was reading something the other day, and of course, the CEO is highlighting some of those things that are the main issues here that we're going to be ironing out at the NAACP convention.
Absolutely, Bob. You know, we're going to continue our focus with the NAACP. We have what's called game changers. And, you know, those game changers is what we're asking all of our branches to focus on throughout the country.
Yeah.
Education, what's happening with education, you know, healthcare is another, criminal justice, civic engagement, because we want our people engaged and not only registered to vote, but then on election,
Yeah.
they get out to vote, right? You know,
Yeah.
I think in New York, we got some challenges because, you know, we have 2 primaries now, right? So first of all, they switched the date from the primary. People were used to voting in September for your primary and then November for your
Yeah.
general election.
And
Now
that's
they vote
confusing a
twice.
lot of people.
It's confusing a lot of people. So our goal is to like educate our community and make sure that they know what these when these primaries are happening, and that they're educated on the issues. So there's a lot of conversations, a lot of discussions about that. You know, the gun violence, of course. The other issues are that we're trying to deal with is the whole issue of the Supreme Court decisions, right? And what's at stake, you know, if they continue, you know, going down this path. You know, I think our very democracy is at stake, you know, and we got to get our people, you know, educated and out voting.
Yeah, like Percy Sutton said back in the day. Of course, Percy Sutton was the one who started WBLS, Inner City Broadcasting Corporation, along with Howard Jackson. He was the Manhattan Borough president, but I asked him a question years ago. I said, what do you say to people who think voting isn't important? And he went on to say, he got beside himself. He said, what? Well, if you think voting is not important, you know the way how spoke. If you think it's not important, just think the president of the United States gets a chance to choose Supreme Court justices. And then he went on and on and on. But, you know, that it didn't hit right then. But when you look at it now, you know, look what it's doing. They get a chance to choose the Supreme Court justices. But not only that, the importance of voting in the general election, you got to vote in those the elections just before that, all the primaries and all the things that come before that, the local elections.
Absolutely. And I tell people all the time, vote in every possible election. If the election is for dog catcher, you need to vote for the dog catcher. Because tomorrow they may be coming to get your dog, right? You know, so you have to vote. You have to vote.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to stress to everybody. You know, I think King also said something like, you know, we have to be careful because when we got people in the South to feel that they don't have, you know, that they can't vote, and then people in the North to feel that they don't have anything to vote for. You know, we got to stress that. I tell people all the time, you know, my grandmother picked cotton so that I could pick presidents, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize the long-term effect that when they elected, a president, that president can appoint those Supreme Court justices that will be in those seats for the next 10, 20 years because Supreme Court justices are not term limited.
Yeah.
So those people and their views, their philosophies will be in existence for the next 10 or 20 years. So you're not only talking about what yourself in the current, you're also talking about 20 years down your children and your children's children, what they're going to have to go through should the Supreme Court, come out with these decisions and like they're coming out now, right? You know, we even heard something the other day that they're also going to be looking at the whole LGBTQ issue, right? You know, and what's happening with the gay marriages and what's happening with, you know, I heard something about they're going to be looking at Plessis versus Ferguson. So we got to be really, really careful with these things. And we have to act.
Time. But if you think, I like what John Lewis said, if you think voting is not important, why do you think so many people are trying to keep you from going to the ballot box?
Absolutely, absolutely. So those are the things that we're talking about at this particular conference. In this book right here, Bob, these are the resolutions that we're we're talking about, we're discussing. And this book contains about 75 different positions, and they're asking us, the body, the delegates that are here, to vote on some of these resolutions. And again, they have to do with everything from healthcare to housing to criminal justice to economic development, even our young people, right? What are we doing about our young people and how do we encourage them? Speaking of Ed, but also part of this conference is that we're going to have opportunity to celebrate. So I'm just going to say, Bob, congratulations to you. You're going to be recognized. You know, I don't know if the listening audience know, but you're going to be recognized at our labor luncheon that's going to start in about an hour or so, highlighting your work in the community and really helping us to, sound the alarm and give voice, to our communities and letting people know and providing platforms like this where people can get on and share, what's happening in our communities. So often our people, don't have the knowledge that they are not aware of what's happening and what's coming down the pike. But, thanks to programs like this, Bob, that we're able to sound the alarm and make sure that our communities are informed.
Yeah. Now, you're a man of so many hats. You are the multitasking king, and you also do some great things with UFT. Tell us some of the things that we're working on with that.
So I want to say, first and foremost, I want to thank all the teachers and all the administrators in our school building that got us through this pandemic, right?
Yes.
Between the virtual, the hybrid, and all of that other. Thank you to our paraprofessionals, our school aides, our crossing guards, our cafeteria workers, all of these people that helped us get through this school year. Thank you.
And feeding.
Everybody had a role to play in this. You kept our schools safe. Our kids, when they didn't have any place else to turn to, they turned to our school system. So thank you to all those people that work in our school system. I cannot thank you enough, right? That's the first thing. But then, coupled with that, there's also some challenges that lie ahead of us. I was on before, Bob, and I talked about this whole issue about smaller class sizes and what we were doing at the UFT to encourage, our class sizes to be limited. In New York City, we're looking at 36 kids, 34 kids in a classroom. No place else, do they have these, numbers, right? Other places there's 18 kids, in a classroom, 20 kids in New York City, it's 34 kids. In some cases, it's as many as 50 kids in a classroom, right? Now, if we're talking about individualized instruction, how much individualized instruction could you give to 36 kids in a 48-minute period? Or right? Exactly. So we're trying to do something in terms of the class sizes, and we got a lot of support from Albany, from our legislators and things of that sort. But our mayor, at the current time, is proposing some, severe budget cuts to our New York City public school system. One of the things, that we're having trouble wrapping our heads around is because the federal government poured billions of dollars into our school system to help us recover from this pandemic. Everybody knows that, things are not normal. The federal government recognized that, and they poured billions of dollars into our public school systems to help us get back on track. But so the money's there. But the mayor is still posting some serious cuts to education. And what these education could mean is like we talked about the 34 kids, it may go up to 40 kids in a classroom because, there's going to be some real challenges. Programs could be eliminated, right? Our sports teams our extracurricular activities may be eliminated, because principals are going to have to make some decisions. Do I keep my English teacher, or do I keep the after school chess club, or do I keep the after school chorus, but those are decisions that principals are going to be forced to make. So we're asking the community to get involved, let their voices be heard, to join us in our campaign. So it's estimated that the mayor's proposed cuts would be upwards of $215 million.
Yeah.
So as I say, what does that mean to regular folk, right? Well, you hear these big numbers. Well, the UFT, what we've done, on our website, uft.org, and if people went to uft.org/budget, BUDGET, they could type in their school, and there's a calculator, and it would tell you how much your particular school is stand to lose should these budget cuts go through. So if you type, if you're concerned about PS, 167, you could go onto the website, type in 167K, Brooklyn, Q, Queens, X for the Bronx, right? And it would tell you, your school is scheduled to lose $800,000 this September. Your school is scheduled to lose $1.1 million this September, So it makes it very real for people.
So they can go onto your website and they can find out that and a whole lot more.
A whole lot more. Our point person for our parent engagement is a gentleman by the name of Nicholas Cruz. And he, people can email him if they'd like to find out how they can get involved. His email address is ncruz, CRUZ, @uft.org. That's ncruz, uft.org. And he's heading up our parent engagement piece. We want to keep the pressure on throughout the summer months. So you may see us at, Harlem Week and the West Indian Day Parade and
We'll see
some
you
of
there.
the other events. Yeah, some of the other events, really promoting why we need to, the mayor to restore some of these cuts that he's proposing.
We'll see you there. Anthony Harmon, let's get ready to go to that union luncheon. And I'll see you there first before all those other things that we spoke about. But thank you
Absolutely.
so much. Thank you for all that you're doing and all that you do.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right.
And congratulations again, Bob. See you soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Anthony Harmon, Director, United Federation of Teachers and President of NAACP New York Chapter. We'll take a break right here. I've got more open coming up next.
TV news, radio reports, and newspaper headlines in the 1970s and 80s misrepresented communities in the borough of the Bronx. Then, something transformative happened. By, for, and about the Bronx, BronxNet was born.
We are BronxNet! BronxNet provides media education,
opening the doors to competitive careers in the media industry
for thousands of students in middle school,
high school,
and college. BronxNet.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from BLS, and our next guest is a mezzo-soprano voice and piano teacher, a professional and performing arts school teacher, and she's teaching artists for the Point C.D.C. And she's with us today to speak about an upcoming music festival where she will be performing and much, much more. So please welcome to the show, Linda Collazo. Linda, welcome. Nice to see you again.
Hello, Dr. Bob Lee. Thank you so much for having me.
So you're moving about the cabin, huh? You're in this state, you're in that state. Now you're about 2 hours difference in time in Colorado. Huh?
Yes. So I am in Colorado right now. I've been here for a month, and I'm going to be here for one more month, and then I will be back home in the Bronx.
What are you working on?
So I was admitted to the Aspen Music Festival in school. Yeah, I'm a full scholarship vocal fellow. It's a $10,000 program, so I'm really lucky that I got this scholarship. And I'm here, and it's actually the most, I don't know, probably one of the highest honors I've ever received, especially since the people working here, like the co-directors of the opera program, are Metropolitan Opera stars. They have performed at the Met Opera, they've performed all over the world, and they're considered some of the greatest musicians in the world, actually. And I'm working very closely with them.
So you've been jumping from city to city and state to state. What's it like performing in New York City with collaborative ensembles?
I love it. I mean, the best part about New York City is that there are so many little music companies out there. So, if you get to a certain point where you're hireable, there is actually a lot of work out there. So I've had the honor of working with so many little companies throughout New York City and as a freelancer, and I've learned a lot, and they have bolstered my resume. I've gotten to add many things to my resume to prepare me for things like this, which is pretty awesome.
I know the last time we were on, we were talking about this move that you wanted to make going to Colorado, right? Being a part of what you're involved in now. I think you were hoping that you were going to get it, or you were.
Oh yeah, I've known
letter for it.
I've known that I was going here since November.
Yeah.
So I've known for a very long time, and I've been preparing to come here for a very long time. And I was lucky to know so early that I was coming here, so I could just relax and not worry about summer opportunities. Because as an opera singer, we're always auditioning, especially in New York City. That's the hub for auditions. And it was nice to finally, call out of a few auditions and say, I already have a summer opportunity, things like that.
Yeah. I was on a Disney cruise, and I said, you know what? Wow. A lot of the people sound like you. You know what I mean? But not like you, but in that area, in that genre of Broadway plays and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you have this unique voice.
Oh, thank you.
That you're gonna go far with that voice that you have. And I'm tempted to get you on and have you do something live, but I don't want to disturb the groove right now, because I know you're using it and you get ready. You have another appointment. and I don't want to take you out of that right now. But if you feel comfortable, it's up to you.
Well, I would love to sing a little ditty for you. Of course, I would love that.
Okay.
And it's a way for me to warm up my voice because I have to go to my voice lesson after this anyway. So
What
I
are
could
some of the things that you have to do to warm up that voice?
um a lot of things like
All of that.
it's a lot of exercises of breath control, coloratura, which is a style of music in opera where your voice moves super fast. Placement, we have to worry about something called resonance, which is
Yeah.
basically where the voice is placed in the skull, so that way it projects,
Woo.
yeah, like as opera singers, we do not use a microphone. So
Yeah.
our skull is essentially our microphone.
Yeah.
So we have to do a lot of exercises to access all of these areas of our body and
Wow.
make
See,
sure
that's
that
that
we're ready to
backstage
go.
information that a lot of people don't realize. When you come out on stage, they think, all right, this is it. You just popped out. She's born to do this.
Oh,
But they
no.
didn't know the steps that it took to get you where you are today.
Yeah, like a lot of exercise, a lot of practice, a lot of resting, a lot of eating right, drinking hot liquids, staying hydrated. It's a lot of stuff.
You have to spray?
Sort of. I mean, I'm in Aspen, Colorado, so the altitude is actually so high.
Right
So I
there.
have to take like they have these oxygen bottles so that way you have
Yeah.
more air because there's literally less oxygen here. It's more dispersed. So in the beginning, the first couple weeks when I was here, singing was very difficult.
Yeah. You're up in the air.
Yeah.
Wow. So what are you going to do for us?
I'll just sing Carmen Habanera. How about that?
Okay. Just a touch. So we won't let.
It's a very famous one, the very famous.
Okay.
Si lui convient de refuser, rien n'y fait menace aux prières, l'un parle bien, l'autre se tait, c'est l'autre que je préfère, il n'a rien dit, mais il me plaît, l'amour est enfant de bohème, il n'a jamais, jamais connu de loi, si tu ne m'aimes pas, je t'aime, si je t'aime, prends garde à toi. Yeah, that one.
All right. Now this is called Mezzo-Soprano, that type of voice that
Yeah, my voice type is Mezzo-Soprano.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just means that my voice sits in the middle of the
Yeah.
staff and it has like a rich sort of timbre to it. There are many different voice types. There's tenor, there's soprano, there's bass baritone, there's baritone. And mezzo in the women's category is somewhat rare. Sopranos are really common. Mezzos are like harder to come by.
You're
They're
laying in the cut. You're right in there in between a couple of wonderful things.
yeah, and it's just it's fun, it's a lot of fun to have this voice and to sing the repertoire that I do.
And you can tell you got into that teaching mode. All right, this is this, and this is that, and this is that.
Yeah, I explain a ton of things to my students about that. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. What challenges have you had in preparing for recent events that you have to do?
Ooh, oh, that's a big question. I think the biggest thing right now is rest.
That's a tough thing to get, huh? When you're moving the way you're moving,
Yeah.
you're in
So,
demand, and people
yeah,
hear you and see you.
it's hard. I mean, this
Yeah.
is a young artist program, so that typically means that we are working around the clock. Yesterday I got home at 11 p.m.
Whew.
From rehearsal, and I had been working since 9 a.m. So I had a 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. day, basically, of
Yeah.
rehearsals and watching and learning and things like that. And it's wonderful. It truly is. But finding time in between to take a break. Not oftentimes in these programs you do get much rest time because they have such a big schedule for everyone. In particular for myself, in the next 2 weeks in the next 2 weeks I have two shows that I have to prepare for, and then like next month I have one show. This weekend I have an audition. I was fortunate enough to be picked for like an industry audition, which
All
means
right. Yeah.
I'm gonna be singing for management, and I'm gonna be singing for like big young artist programs, which like are associated with big opera houses, for people my age. And so it's a lot of stuff where it's like you have to compartmentalize
Yeah.
and take like a lot of time to rest when you can, and figure out what's worth spending time on versus what's not, when it's better to
Exactly.
rest versus when it's better to work hard. It's hard. Yeah.
When is all of your schedules on your website?
Yes.
We can go and check you out and watch. You're gonna have clips up there of you doing your thing.
Yeah,
We
so
can
you
pop
can
out and see you.
explore around. Yeah, you can explore around my website. I have an events tab on my website, and over there is where my calendar is, along with like the links to see, when the performances are and what the ticket costs are and things like that.
Well, thank you so much for coming. And when you finish up what you're doing, and you got another little break, just jump in here again on BronxNet, all right? And let us know what's going on.
I come back August 23rd. So, think about me in your calendar around that time.
There you go.
And I'm going to be doing performances like in the Bronx and Manhattan, in Queens. When I come back, I already have like a schedule.
Well, we'll see you when you get back, and it's all on your website there, right? What's that website again?
LindaCollazo.com.
There you go, Linda. Thank you so much, Linda Collazo.
Thank you so much.
All right, she's mezzo-soprano, voice and piano teacher, and she's teaching artists. And she's also working with the Point C.D.C. We appreciate you and we love you. Thank you for doing all you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Bobby C's up next. He has the latest in the world of sports right here on Open. Don't move a muscle.
Aches and pains have certainly gone up very much during the pandemic, unfortunately. Our guest this morning here in the Sports Corner is here to help you guys out. We welcome performance trainer and PT, Dr. Nick Rolnick, to the show, the human performance mechanic. Nick, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, Bobby. How are you?
I'm doing great. So great to see you. And obviously, like I said, I think it's been a very trying time, not only because of the virus, of course, which I think is still something that is, that's something that we're dealing with, unfortunately, even if the numbers might be a bit better than they once were. But I think a lot of people at home are dealing with some of the residuals of that, not just the physical, but the emotional too. And we wanted to talk to you this morning about basically your antidote to anxiety. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think, what I've adopted in terms of my philosophy of how I approach the human body is important, because that really segues into the importance of any recommendations that I would give for addressing something like anxiety. And I believe my philosophy is that I believe that the human body can be viewed as almost like a perfect machine. And it's a machine that has evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to coordinate its many moving parts to work in unison to maintain some sort of equilibrium and optimizing its performance. But unfortunately, the body isn't really able to effectively recognize an imbalance that may develop in the system, and unfortunately has a difficulty being able to self-correct. And just like any machine, like you would go to a mechanic that will look at the total, the system, the body, the car, for example, and find out what's causing that particular imbalance and addressing it so that that car can ultimately work and then go back to driving you around, wherever you're doing. So I really, in that lens, I consider myself much more than just a physical therapist and a performance enhancement specialist. I consider myself the human performance mechanic. And my job is to take things like pain, which I typically see on a daily basis in my practice. And instead of just treating the pain, which I feel is a very common, approach, they actually don't end up treating you may miss treating the actual cause. And once we can address the cause that is most likely producing that imbalance in the system, well, then we can return the patient or client, whoever I'm working with, back to optimal performance and get them back to the activities that they love as quickly as possible. So that kind of transcends into, even if you don't have aches and pains or thinking about anxiety, anxiety can be viewed as another imbalance in the system. And obviously, anxiety has multiple different causes. But what we do know about anxiety is that there is a strong or a potentially strong benefit of physical activity, in a structured physical activity, on being able to manage those symptoms and return, in my my philosophy, my perspective, the individual back to optimum performance.
Yeah, this concept of basically working out to beat the stress and to try to overcome some of these things that we've discussed, Nick. I mean, obviously the world right now, these are separate conversations, but not an easy place, whether it's inflation or record gas prices, or like I said, even some people, having a harder time dealing with the virus itself. And I don't think, there's no denying that working out or keeping active and some of these things I know you've touted in other interviews, whether it's, getting in that extra walk or parking the car a bit further away so that you can get some extra steps. So all these little changes, these little lifestyle changes will help you in the long run.
Yeah, what I have found the most effective, both as my experience as a physical therapist, but also as a performance enhancement specialist and the human performance mechanic, is that when we are looking at making a behavior change, it can be daunting and it can be really stressful in and of itself. And I think that what we should recognize is when people make a health behavior decision, a lot of the times it's 0 to 100, meaning that instead of saying, okay, I'm going to exercise a little bit more and maybe try to get in, to the gym once a week to start, if I've never been to the gym before or had any structured activity, it then becomes, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week and I'm going to do cardio twice a week. And now all of a sudden you're staring down the barrel of, 5 additional gym sessions per week or exercise sessions per week. And you haven't really set up any sort of foundation to be able to reap that reward, because you then view exercise as more transactional. And I recognize that there are going to be some individuals that are listening that, view exercise as a transactional, modality or approach. But I always try to highlight that behavior change can be scary. And so the easiest way that I've had, that the evidence also recommends, but I've had success with my clients and patients, is to make small, meaningful changes that over time, will amount to significant changes in your life, but might seem very small at first. And what you mentioned before is some of the perfect examples that I give to the clients that I work with, which is, all right, if you got to drive everywhere, well, see if you can bike somewhere. Or if you're going to go to a park, if you have to drive, then try to park at the furthest spot so you can get an additional benefit of walking. So you're not necessarily shoehorning yourself into, oh, I need to really go to the gym 5 times, because what happens if you miss a session? Okay, you miss a session when you first start out, and now you have the additional stress of making that session up. And I think it's really important from just the guidance or the coaching perspective to appreciate that once you make that behavior decision, or you have the intent to make that behavior decision, that you're put in an environment where you can build self-efficacy, which is just the positive belief that you can accomplish what you set out to accomplish. And that's my role. And I love that role, because it can be fit into a rehab perspective. It can be fit into a performance perspective, and even a lifestyle optimization perspective. So that's kind of my soapbox over there.
Well, it's very good, Nick. I mean, and like I said, I think, a lot of people during this period of time have seen their workout regimens maybe change. I mean, especially in the beginning, of course, with having to stay at home. I know for me, that was kind of thrown out of the mix too. My routine at one point that I had, I've completely lost it. So I'm hoping to be inspired by this interview this morning to kind of get back on it. And thankfully been somewhat able to maintain my weight, but I think in terms of being, I'm out of shape at this point, and it's actually had some effects. I know for me during this period of time, whether it's dealing with some elbow tendonitis, which I think is a residual of working from home, or even carpal tunnel, things that I had never had to deal with before. And I think it's very interesting, especially for our viewers at home that are probably dealing with some similar issues, residuals probably of the pandemic and from working at home.
I think you really hit the nail on the head there with what the average person is likely going through with all the stress that's going on with our society, and how there is uncertainty about the future. Anxiety can be viewed as some sort of imbalance that's in the system. So what we can do to combat that from a non-pharmacological intervention is focused and targeted exercise, because then we change the balance of pro-inflammatory, which is that fat, and anti-inflammatory, which is those muscle tissues. So now all of a sudden we can change and tip the balance back in favor of anti-inflammation. And now all of a sudden we're feeling better and we're looking better. And it is truly that reward from pushing through that discomfort when you're doing exercise that you're really going to reap those benefits.
That was part 1 of our interview with the human performance mechanic, Dr. Nick Rolnick. Tune in next Monday for part 2.
right, here we go. Welcome back. Our final guest is the spokesman for Jehovah's Witnesses. He's here today to share some important information about their Pursue Peace Convention. So please welcome to the show, Robert J. Hendriks III. You're always a great presence on the show. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
It's hard to believe you having us back. I'm getting used to this. Thank you, Dr. Bob. It's a pleasure. And talking about our conventions is really so important to us because we're the largest convention organization in the world. And people have wondered, well, where are your conventions? Back in 2020, we did suspend our in-person conventions for that year, 2020. And we performed a miracle within weeks, and that's getting a virtual convention up to the world in 500 different languages. And then subsequently, we've done that for the next 2 years. So this is our third year doing it. Next year, we'll be back to in-person conventions. But for now, this is the format we're working in, and we're very excited to be able to release this to the world.
And what is the theme? Are you going to be speaking about world peace, which is so much needed, so very badly needed at this point?
We are going to be speaking about world peace, but the theme is pursue peace. And what that means is that, we could be peaceful as individuals. You can just lock yourself up in your home and be at peace, right? But we're talking about being outside your home, being with your family, pursuing peace. It's a very different thing. Jesus is the Prince of Peace, and he wants us to be peaceful, not just in our hearts, which is where it starts, but in our families, in our communities, and ultimately, he wants global peace.
Yes. So at this convention, it's going to be held where?
Well, the convention is available to everyone online. It matches our 3-day conventions that we traditionally have annually. And so it's done in days, Friday morning and Friday afternoon, and Saturday morning sessions have already been released. This is our 3rd session that's being released this week. And we'll release 3 more sessions in the course of the next several weeks. And so in all, we'll have 6 different sessions that will be available on jw.org, JW Library, which is free and available in iPhone or Android. We'll be also on Roku, JW Broadcasting on Roku, Apple TV. So we are widely available, and it's all free for anybody to access.
Yeah. And so there's no brick and mortar at this time, not yet.
There's not, and that is something we long for again. But we recognize that still with the BA.5 variant, it really is a course of wisdom to deliver this convention in the most safe way, and hopefully by next year we'll be back in venues again all around the world. Yeah,
and what makes this message so unique? When so many people are talking about it, sometimes it falls short. What makes it so unique with the?
That's a good question, because when you think about the term peace, peace has always been talked about. We've had international years of peace in the United Nations. We've had calls for peace and security. However, the difference between the peace that we're talking about, the major difference, is that our message is built on one basic principle, notwithstanding the nobility of organizations that want to have peace. And we recognize there are people who want peace and they're doing good things. But this is built on the principle that you cannot achieve true global peace through an organization of man. And that's really the principle. And so we start with ourselves. We start internally with peace in our own hearts, peace with our Creator. And then we work out from there: family, community, fellow worshipers, and so forth. And hopefully, in the future, our prayer is that global peace will be achieved through God's kingdom.
Yeah, and how can Bible principles help someone cultivate peace within their own home and community?
I think anybody who has really tried to apply Bible principles knows the answer to that question. But I'm going to give you an example. In our Friday afternoon session, we have an interactive, beautiful videos and talks related to the family. And it features actually a blended family, a family of a widow who married another widow. They got together and they put their families together. And it's a beautiful display of what the reality of this world, the reality of the Bronx, the fact that we have many blended families, and the fact that peace is robbed in many of those families because it's difficult to achieve peace. But we talk there about 4 things in that symposium. 1, show love and respect. 2, improve communication. 3, work as a team. And 4, worship God together. Those 4 points are discussed, are portrayed in a dramatization, and you come out of that and say, you know what, these are some tools I can use to apply Bible standards, Bible principles in my life and achieve peace, not only for myself, but for my family.
Talk about some of the resources that are available for people who would like to pursue peace.
Well, you know, if you go to jw.org and you put the word peace in the search, you'll find thousands of articles, thousands of videos on peace, peace in the family, peace in our hearts, global peace, the Prince of Peace, a God of peace. And so it really, those resources are available. We know that a lot of people don't read anymore. So there are 200,000 videos available in JW Library and on jw.org. And we're willing to share them at no charge anonymously to folks who are interested in going to that website or downloading our app, JW Library.
Yeah. And I think that peace begins with you.
No doubt.
Peace within your heart, peace within your family, peace within your community. And it just goes out, and you have to present that peace in everyday life and everything that you do.
Yeah, just like you do, Dr. Bob. We even, having so many different ones on your show, and getting our message out from different ways, and that kind of peace is being portrayed in a community, showing that we can all live together, right, and we can all respect each other's views. So it's a beautiful example.
Yeah. What would you tell people who would like to get more involved in Jehovah's Witnesses?
Well, we recognize that our message is not known by many. They know who we are. They've seen us on the street. So I would just go up to one of our brothers or sisters who are standing at a cart, ask them, well, what's this all about? Or go to jw.org, do it in the privacy of your own home, or download JW Library. And all of our publications, anything we've ever written, anything we've ever put together from a media standpoint is available on jw.org all the way back to 1950. So if you want to get a good understanding of who we are, it's there. And if you want to get a good understanding of God's word in the simplest and most interactive way, jw.org is really the website to do that.
That's where you go. Thank you so much. So are we going around? Are we knocking on doors again?
Well, we are knocking on doors of those who are inviting us. So, for example, I could call you Return Visit Dr. Bob. We know each other, so I'd call you up and say, hey, Dr. Bob, can I come visit you? And then I can go to your home. So we've opened Bible study, what we call return visits, those who are interested in our message. But as of yet, we haven't opened up knocking on doors randomly, if you will, going from house to house, which was our signature work. But we have opened up our carts around New York City, the Bronx, as we said in the last show, and all around the world. And we're eager to talk to folks again, person to person.
What's that website again?
jw.org.
jw.org. Robert Hendriks III, National Spokesperson for Jehovah's Witnesses. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. It's been great being with you again.
Thank you. You're always welcome. All right, that about does it for us. Thank you for letting us share in this space and time with you. Always remember this: what you are is God's gift to you, and what you make of yourself is your gift to God. So choose your choice, so let your choice control the chooser. And I'll see you over 107.5 WVLS. For all of us here at Bronx Net, have a great and enjoyable day, and I'll catch you another day, another way. We love you all. Peace.